Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the most fundamental journey of all, the absolutely incredible story of how every single one of us gets our start. We're going to go from the microscopic genetic code that makes you, you, all the way through the 9-month odyssey that builds a human being. So, let's kick things off with a story that honestly sounds like it's straight out of a movie. It's about two brothers, Jim Springer and Jim Lewis. Now, these guys were identical twins. They had the exact same DNA, but they were separated at just 4 weeks old. They grew up in different families and had absolutely no idea the other even existed. So when they finally met up again at 39 years old, the things they had in common, well, they were just mind-blowing. I mean, look at this list. It goes so far beyond coincidence, it's almost spooky. And this crazy case blew the lid off one of the biggest debates in science, one we're still wrestling with today. Are we who we are because of our genes, our nature, or is it all about how we're raised, our nurture? To even get close to answering that, we've got to go back, way back, to the very beginning. We need to take a look at the instruction manual that's tucked away inside pretty much every cell in your body, your genetic blueprint. Think about it. Your entire story starts with one single cell. It's called a zygote, and it's formed at the exact moment of conception. Tucked inside are 23 pairs of chromosomes. You get one set from your mom and one from your dad. And these chromosomes, they're basically just super tightly coiled strands of DNA. And specific little segments on that DNA, those are what we call genes. They are the individual instructions for literally everything. Okay, and this is a really important distinction you have to get. Your genotype is the raw code, right? It's the complete set of instructions you get from your parents. But your phenotype, that's how the code actually shows up in the real world. It's the stuff you can see, your height, your hair, even parts of your personality. The best way to think about it is this. The genotype is the architect's blueprint, but the phenotype is the actual building you can see and walk around in. So how does the blueprint actually turn into the building? Well, one of the main ways is through something called the dominant recessive principle. See, some genes are dominant, which means they're kind of bossy. You only need one copy for that trait to show up. Others are recessive and they're a bit shy. You need to get a copy from both of your parents for them to appear. So with hair color, for example, the gene for brown hair is dominant. It'll always overpower the recessive one for blonde. The only way you get blonde hair is if you get that recessive gene from both sides of the family. Okay, so we've got the code. Now let's watch how that code starts to build an actual human being from just one tiny cell. And trust me, this next phase is a period of absolutely explosive growth. I mean, the pace of development in just the first 2 months is breathtaking. That initial zygote starts dividing and dividing and dividing, becoming what's called a blastocyst. This little ball of cells makes its way to the uterus and implants itself into the wall. Then, from week 2 to week 8, we call it an embryo. And this is when organogenesis, the formation of all the major organs, kicks into high gear. It's incredible. So, this whole 9-month marathon is broken down into 3 trimesters. The first trimester is all about laying the foundation, building the basic structures and the life support systems. The second trimester is where all the major growth happens, and the fetus starts getting really active. And then in that final third trimester, it's all about packing on the pounds and getting those lungs and reflexes ready for life on the outside. But here's the thing. This whole process isn't just some genetic program running on autopilot. Nope. From the second of conception, the environment inside the womb is hugely important. And believe me, this journey is not without its risks. A really key word here is teratogen. It sounds kind of scary, and it is. It's basically anything that can cause a birth defect. But here's what's interesting. Its impact isn't always the same. The amount of damage it can do really depends on 3 big things. The dose, meaning how much exposure there was, the baby's own genetic susceptibility, and, maybe most important of all, the timing. Exposure during a critical window when an organ is forming can be way, way more damaging. Now, psychoactive drugs are some of the most well-known and dangerous teratogens out there. Alcohol, for instance, can lead to fetal alcohol syndrome, which causes a whole range of severe, permanent problems. Smoking is tied to low birth weight, and hard drugs like cocaine and heroin, well, they can have absolutely devastating and lifelong effects on a child's development. And the risks aren't just external. The mother's own health and age are a massive factor too. For example, the chance of having a child with Down syndrome, which is a chromosomal issue, goes up dramatically with age. For a mom who's 20, the risk is about 1 in 1,900. By age 45, that risk skyrockets to 1 in 30. Yeah, you heard that right. 1 in 30. That's a huge jump. So after navigating 9 months of incredible development and all those potential risks, the journey finally reaches its dramatic grand finale, the birth process itself. Birth is actually a very organized event, and it happens in 3 clear stages. Stage 1 is the long haul. It can last for hours as contractions slowly open the cervix. Stage 2, this is go time. This is the active pushing phase when the baby makes its way into the world. And then stage 3, which only takes a few minutes, is just the delivery of the placenta, also known as the afterbirth. Now, this is an unbelievably intense experience, both physically and emotionally, and there are tons of ways to get support. Doulas are there for emotional and physical comfort. Midwives provide that crucial medical expertise. And then you have specific methods like Lamaze, which uses breathing techniques to manage pain, or the Bradley method, which really focuses on the father's role as the main labor coach. But hey, just because the baby's out doesn't mean the journey's over, not by a long shot. The first few minutes, hours, and weeks are a really critical time of adjustment for the newborn and a period of massive change for the parents. Almost right away, newborns get what's called the APGAR test. It's just a quick and simple health checkup done at 1 minute and 5 minutes after birth. And the letters in APGAR are actually a handy little acronym for the 5 things they're checking: appearance, pulse, grimace, activity, and respiration. A high score means the baby's doing great. And for the mother, the 6 weeks after birth are called the postpartum period. It is a whirlwind of physical adjustment, like the uterus literally shrinking back to its normal size, and huge emotional shifts. This is also when postpartum depression can show up, which is why support is so important. But more than anything, this is the time for bonding, forming that deep, powerful connection, often helped by things like skin-to-skin contact or kangaroo care. And this is where you just see how amazingly diverse human culture is. I mean, the biology of birth is the same everywhere, but the experience, it can be wildly different. In parts of West Africa, women are expected to be silent during childbirth. For the Kuna Indians in Panama, a shaman literally sings the baby out. It's just a powerful reminder of all the different ways we humans welcome new life into the world. Which brings us full circle, right back to the Jim twins. Their story suggests that nature, our genes, writes a really, really detailed first draft of who we are. But from the moment that first cell splits in two, nurture, our environment, our experiences, our choices, starts its lifelong job as the editor. The blueprint is set, for sure, but the final building is something we keep working on every single day. So the ultimate question is still out there. How much of our own story can we really, truly rewrite?